Welcome into part 2 of the week. I put 15 in our title, but it's week 16. Semifinals, championship, first week of the championship, whatever you're in, we're here. Brian, you have a story for us about one of your leagues you want to share?
Yeah. So this is related to last night's game, the Saints-Rams game. So I was at my wife's / my cousin's gender reveal last night, and her and her dude, like, they're the ones who run the other league that I'm in. So there was a lot of league mates there, and the guy I was playing in the playoffs was there. Shout out to Bob, you're going down for sure. And then he was even saying, he's like, dude, I barely made it to the playoffs. Like, I don't even know how I made it. Like, he was just kind of like seeding the week already, or seceding the week already, but before the games even started. But yeah, it was just kind of funny, like just kind of like talking to those guys a little bit about fantasy, and one of the other guys that's in the league, who's also in the playoffs that I'm obviously not playing this week. His name's Brian also, and like I was talking, like we've only met like once or twice, kind of a thing. So, but like I knew who he was, and I was like, oh, that's Blake's brother, Brian. Like, and I was like, hey, like I was kind of talking to him about fantasy a little bit, and I think it took him a second to like. I think he had to ask me like a second time, like later in the night. He's like, you're the other Brian. You're the one like in the team, like in the league. And I was like, yeah. Like, cause I've just been like killing it in that league. I got really lucky with a few pickups and everything like that. And then he asked me, he goes like, what are you, like some kind of shark or something? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I heard you got a podcast. And I was like, yeah, kind of. I mean, like me and my brother, like I kind of like told him the whole story, and he's just kind of like looking at me like, yeah, right, kind of a thing. Like he's like, bullshit. Like, it was just kind of funny to like have that interaction with him. And he's like, wait, what's your podcast called? And like, I'm like, oh, it's Victory Formation. It's my brother's thing. Like, you know, I told him, I was like, yeah, my dad helps him do the waiver stuff and recaps, and I do previews with him. Like, and I told him like how we got started in general, where it was just like a thing about like for our own leagues, and then it kind of like grew into this. And so like he pulled it up, him and Bob, they both pulled it up while we were kind of talking, and I was like, yeah, you guys should subscribe. And they're like, all right, yeah, like let me see what's going on here, kind of a thing. So I got us 2 new subscribers last night, boots on the ground, literally, like. And I told him, I was like, yeah, you guys might put us at 250 or something like that. Like, It was just kind of funny to like have that interaction where, I don't know. And he was like, Brian was even asking Bree, he's like, so what's up with this guy? Like, kind of a thing. Like, and she was like, you know what? They're just really passionate about it. They love talking about it. And it's just, you know, it's all like fun and games, but it's funny because like I was kind of recapping a few things that happened throughout the league year, like the season in that league. Like you know, like oh, remember when I offered this trade to you, like that kind of thing. Like Blake totally didn't do well this year, and he was the commissioner. And I was like, do you remember when Justin Jefferson went down and I offered you Alvin Kamara and DJ Moore for Jefferson? Because I thought he was going to be back in 4 weeks and I could weather the storm. And he was just like, oh, yeah, like I should have done that, kind of a thing. And I'm like, yeah, I made so many trade proposals in that league. No one took anything, and they all would have been better for everybody else. And I definitely wouldn't be where I ended up.
Yeah.
If they had actually accepted it. So you just never know, man. You just never know.
No, you don't. I mean, I've only made one trade in our redraft league, and I got Josh Allen for Puka Nacua, and as of now, I would have been better off keeping Puka and starting Baker Mayfield. You know, So that's kind of who I was starting, him or Geno. Both those guys had big weeks, I think, since I got Josh Allen. So, yeah, kind of crazy. You never know. That's what makes it fun, though. So,
definitely. Yeah. Man, and we had that conversation too about like the whole like luck versus skill, blah blah blah. Like, and I know we've talked about it here before too, but I mean, as long as you're having fun with it, like I even told those guys, I was like, it's not about the money. Obviously, the money's nice, but it's just more about smack talking with you guys for sure. So,
yep. And anything could happen because you get teams like one of the teams we're going to talk about today that just knock everyone out of the playoffs. Colts, Falcons, first game we're looking at here. This is we'll start with the Colts. The over-under is 45. Falcons are favored by 2.5. I was a little surprised by that. Hopefully that's not a typo. I guess being at home. Jonathan Taylor has no injury designation. Let's start with Gardner. I'm jumping ahead. We'll start with Gardner Minshew. I think, to me, he's still in that range. He had a good game last week, but he's in that Browning, Flacco, Love, Mullins range to me. Like, yeah, any one of them could be top 12 quarterbacks like last week. Like, I think they all were top 12 quarterbacks last week. Maybe not Love, but I don't know. It's like flip a coin between those guys, kind of. So would you – I think we answered this already. You wouldn't put him above, like, Geno, though, right? That's kind of the cutoff.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. Like, I might have said that, but, like, I think he's definitely, like, in that conversation. Like, he's getting Jonathan Taylor back this week, too. So I got to imagine Taylor makes the whole offense better. Mm-hmm. So I think I would go Minshew slightly edged out over Geno.
Yeah.
But, like, really close.
Yeah, it's no one knows. No one can tell you who for sure is going to have a better game there. Like it's it's literally a toss up. If it's 60-41, I would acknowledge that, but I don't think it is. So, and I think Michael Pittman's playing. I think he's cleared concussion protocol. So that's good for Gardner, and really good if you have Pittman because he's been awesome. And even though he left the game in like the second quarter last week, I think he still had like 12 PPR points. I think he had 4 or 5 catches for 75 yards or something. So he's a must start. Any other receiver you want to start on the Colts now that Pittman's back?
No, I'm just reading like his little blurb here. Like it does say he's questionable. Like it says he cleared concussion protocol, but he's questionable with a shoulder injury. So maybe just keep an eye on it. It might not be that big of a deal, but he did take a really nasty hit. And, didn't the dude who hit him from Pitt, didn't he get suspended for the entire year?
Yeah.
So it just shows you like how bad it was, so keep an eye on it. But as far as like other receivers go, like, no, I think we're done with the Josh Downs like experiment for now, hopefully we can see, like we saw some flashes from him in his rookie year. So it'll be interesting to see what they look like next year with Richardson. Like definitely a guy to like maybe try and buy sort of cheap in Dynasty if you can get him cheap, but you're not starting anyone else.
Yeah, I'd buy Michael Pittman cheap in Dynasty. Cheap in the sense of like if someone's not valuing him as like a top, I think he's a top 12 Dynasty receiver. He's going to get paid this offseason. Like, what if he goes to the Colts the Chiefs? Like, how much are we going to love him then? Like I think he's fine with the Colts too. So, I like Michael Pittman. Buying him like a late first round pick or something in Dynasty.
Yeah, if you could pull that off, like that's great. I guess it kind of we'll talk about that in the off season. But. Yeah,
he's just like a weird one. I don't think people value him as like some people might not value him as that. So, but yeah, and then Jonathan Taylor, I'm starting. No injury designation. It's a thumb injury. It's not a knee. It's not an ankle. It's not a thigh, groin, whatever. And this team's in the playoff hunt. They need a win. This game, it's not a gimme game. Nothing's a gimme game really for them. Like I think they just, especially if Zach Moss isn't there, like which he didn't practice all week. I think I'm starting Taylor, and I'm not worried about it really. Like there's this slight concern. Maybe they hold him back a bit. I don't think they do though.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think they're going to be full steam ahead. And I remember I said last week, like, oh, maybe you can actually start Zach Moss this following week, even if Taylor comes back. It's like, I don't think that's necessarily the case anymore with him getting injured last week. And it's like, you're definitely not dropping Zach Moss just to see, like, hopefully he does play and we can see, like, what that looks like. And if it goes back to, like, 65-35, in favor of Taylor, then it's kind of like, what you got there. Like, you're not starting him in the championship week, but yeah, you're not starting Zach Moss no matter what this week, I don't think.
Yeah, luckily he got you a touchdown on the play that he was injured. I had Pittman and Moss on one playoff team, and I survived.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice. They still got like almost 25 points combined, despite both leaving like back-to-back plays almost, or back-to-back drives.
Right.
So, yeah, they at least did something. Yeah, and then no one else on the Colts. The Falcons, just Arthur Smith killing your team. I think it's Heineke. Yeah, it's Heineke this week, which doesn't really make sense. Like, I don't know. Like, what are you doing? It feels like a desperation thing. Bijan was such a disappointment. I think he got negative points in half and standard. I know we play a little bit differently, so he got like one or less than one. But yeah, he was negative in half PPR, negative 0.1. That's just, that's horrendous. What are you doing, Bijan? Like, if you made it, somehow survived, I'm firing him back up because I like pain, I guess. I think they just feed the hell out of him after last week.
I don't know. I guess like Bijan, I don't know how we're surprised. I mean, we're surprised because it's like really stupid that like what Kyle Pitts is to tight ends. Like, it seems like Bijan could be for running backs and Drake London could be for wide receivers, where it's like these really highly drafted, talented guys like just have like full on disappearing acts for like no discernible reason. Like, kind of like, it's just like, I don't know what the hell is going on down there. But I mean, you're definitely still starting Bijan. Like, there's no way you get away from him just because of one bad game. It's just more frustrating than anything. And yeah, I know we just kind of talked about it like before we started. Like, if anyone's keeping track, I needed a touchdown from him to advance in Dynasty also, where he would have gotten it for me also. If you listen to the last video, like, but like, they're gonna throw it to Cordero Patterson instead, like, because why not?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, you're still starting him, but it's just super frustrating.
It is. He should never not be getting 15 plus touches a game. Like, I don't care if they're trailing, blowout. This wasn't a blowout, by the way. It was against the best matchup. Like, Carolina was the matchup for running backs as well, which is even more frustrating. It was like, oh my God, he's going to smash. And then, he should be getting 15 touches every single game,
Yeah.
Look what the Panthers were doing when they sucked with McCaffrey. They were still giving him 20 touches. So it's crazy. Still starting him though, unfortunately. If I made it.
Just them being on the Falcons, those three like star, the three position players that we just talked about, or that what I'm talking about. It's really going to affect their draft position next year. It's like Bijan's not going in the first round next year, like maybe the end of it, but like there's no way you can take him in the first round. Kyle Pitts is like going to be tight end, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 as far as like drafted. Drake London's going to be drafted as like a wide receiver 25 or even later. I don't know. It's definitely going to affect where they are, especially if Arthur Smith is still there. Yeah. Like, it's just crazy, man. It's just, it doesn't make any sense.
But they lost, so potentially not Arthur Smith being back, which would be great. Drake London, wide receiver 3. He's in, again, like always, that Lockett, McLaurin, Deontay range. He's better at home than on the road. His home road splits 36 catches at home compared to 22 on the road, 533 yards at home compared to 236 at home or on the road. So he basically doubles his production at home. So, and this is a home game. So I'm fine with him as back to a wide receiver 3. Again, if you made it this far with Drake London, it means you probably have a pretty good team. And he's kind of just like the cherry on top if he gives you a big week, which he can, Kyle Pitts, what it's been all year, I guess.
Yeah.
You're still crazy enough to be throwing him out there. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's been a couple
Johnny
of years.
Smith. Johnny Smith is was the leading receiver on this team last week. So and both those guys, Dynasty, I'd still buy low on them if I can, London and Pitts. Like if you can get them for like a second round, I'd do it in a heartbeat. So
in my Dynasty team, which is super flex, not tight end premium, tell me, I know you've heard this before, but I traded Kyler Murray for Deshaun Watson and Kyle Pitts. Do you think that was good?
I do because I still think Deshaun's going to be good. It sucks that we didn't get to see not even like a few games. Like we didn't even get to see like a 6-game healthy stretch for him. He was like injured from like week 2 or something.
Yeah.
Just never right. So I still think Watson's going to be a good quarterback. And I have hope. Like what if name a team trades for Kyle Pitts? We talked about this. Like I think me and Dad did. It was like, he's going into his 4th year next year, which is when you have to decide if you want to extend him to a 5th year because he's a first-round pick.
Yeah,
if you're not going to do that, why not? A lot of people, maybe you can trade him for something. So
go to the Chiefs.
Yeah, or they get a top quarterback. So
yeah, I just think it's kind of funny. Like the Chiefs are always like, we always want everyone to go to the Chiefs. Like there's just such a vacuum there, even though Rice has really stepped up. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
And
Kelsey's still
Falcons, right?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So yeah, we'll move on to the Packers, Panthers. Packers are favored by 5, over/unders 38. We talked about it a little bit with Jordan Love. Like this matchup is not good, and I think it's more than just like everyone runs on them. I think they are just like a pretty good secondary. But yeah, they haven't given up since week 8 more than 16.5 points in 4-point. So that's against Stroud, Minshew, Bajent. Dak had the most with 16.16. Levis, Baker, Carr, Ritter. Before that, they had back-to-back games where they gave up over 20 to Goff and Tua. And then weeks 1 to 4, no one over 16.5. So only twice over 16.5 this year, which is pretty impressive. Does that shy you away from Jordan Love at all?
I mean, it should, definitely. Like it's definitely like, I don't know. Like it's funny because I got kind of looking at I think we talked about the receivers, like in relation to Carolina, because it's like obviously the quarterbacks and the receivers are tied to each other. But just think about this: like last week, like Carolina actually won, so Atlanta did. They were in a competitive game, if that's what you call that game. I don't know. Let's just say the score was close. I'm not going to call it competitive because that just feels gross. Even like Drake London didn't do anything last week, and Atlanta needed him to, And so I don't know. I don't think it bodes well for Green Bay receivers in general, and so I don't think Love is necessarily I don't think he's necessarily a start. That was a long-winded way of saying that.
Yeah. Again, I wouldn't argue with starting Nick Mullins over him in a really good matchup. And Nick Mullins is a top 12 guy. Minshew, Flacco, Browning, any of those guys really, I wouldn't mind it. They're all kind of in that coin flip range. So, yeah, and the receivers will play the game here. So it looks like, just looking at now, Christian Watson's doubtful. Don't expect him to play. Jaden Reed didn't practice all week. He's questionable with the toe/chest. So let's just say those guys are out. And, Dontavian Wicks is also questionable. I'm fine with actually throwing both Romeo Dobbs and Dontavian Wicks as a flex in the 3 wide receiver league. I don't think it's a terrible option. Again, tough matchup, but we expect Jordan Love to at least throw for 200 yards, and if those are kind of the only 2 receivers out there, I don't hate it. So I don't know how you're feeling with the Packers receivers. They're kind of tough.
Yeah, I'm not feeling good about it. That's for sure. But I don't think that's what we're here to do, is talk about all the great guys we want to start. It's kind of those fringe guys that we have to talk about to make it a little more make sense. But I think the best dart throw you can take in the passing game is probably Tucker Kraft, honestly, the tight end. I don't really want to start either one of Dobbs or Wicks, but yeah, I can see the case for flex play in 3 receiver sets, but it's dangerous, man. It's dangerous.
Yeah. I kind of want to avoid Reed if he does play, because I think they're going to limit him like they did just a couple weeks ago. So, and they kind of been doing that with all their players defensively, offensively. So, yeah, I just want to avoid that. But yeah, they're super deep. We play in a very deep 12 team. We're starting 3 flexes on top of 2 receivers and 2 running backs. I'm thinking about starting Dontavian Wicks because it's between him and Mingo, Noah Brown, Demario Douglas. He's in that range, so.
Yeah, I'd probably start Noah Brown over him, but yeah, I know. I'm really hoping a lot of guys come back this week, specifically because it hurts your team. I need Josh Jacobs back and Checo back and all this stuff. Not because I have them, but because you have the backups. I want Madison back just to eat a little bit of Ty Chandler.
Yep.
But anyways,
if I can get one more week with them and get a decent lead on you guys, I have a chance. But yeah, if all those come back, it's gonna be tough next week, I think. Yeah, Tucker Kraft's not a bad call either. The running backs, I think Aaron Jones. Okay, he's limited. Man, their injury report's so long. He's limited all week too.
He's got a broken thumb.
Yeah, but he was limited. Yeah, I think Aaron Jones is. I don't think he has a tag on an injury tag on him. So, where are you at with Aaron Jones? Especially, let's just assume Dylan doesn't play. Where are you at with Aaron Jones? Top 20 guy?
Yeah. You're definitely starting Aaron Jones. We talked about him last week in that respect, where it's before this year, you would have said must start stud. Even after week 1, he had that huge game. It's been injuries, but I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Jones comes back this week and wins people championships over these next 2 weeks, because you got this far without him, and now it's now you have Aaron Jones also. He's basically going to be in your flex spot. I'm not ranking him there, but I'm just saying if you got this far without him, it's he's almost like a free space. Yeah, a jail free card or some other board game analogy, metaphor. I don't know.
No, you're right. In Carolina, it's still a good matchup, even though it didn't pan out with the Falcons guys. But before that, it's the Falcons game last week, and then Houston week 8 when they couldn't get any running game going before then. That was basically it. Every other game they gave up, you'd be very happy with what if Aaron Jones scored, whatever, in any other game this year, what other running backs are scoring. So, yeah, I like it. Panthers, is it just Chuba again? Chuba, you have to start.
Yeah, I think so. I was going to say, Panthers, all right, we're done kind of thing. But yeah, Chuba, you're still starting. Why can't
19.
I can't spell. I was why can't I find Chuba Hubbard on my list?
19 or more touches in 4 straight games, 20 plus carries in 3 straight games. So that's what they're going to want to do in this game.
Yep.
It's just run the hell out of it. So I like Chuba in that RB2 range.
I mean, it's definitely their only chance of winning the game is just full on ball control. Like I don't know.
Yep. And I'll throw Thielen in like the low end of wide receiver threes. He's still kind of there for me. He's not doing it, but I guess he still has a chance to do something. So I'd probably put him behind Deontay, McLaurin, those kind of guys. And then he's really in that like Jacoby Myers, Brandon Cooks, Noah Brown range, in my opinion.
Yeah. I thought it's kind of interesting that you brought up Deontay compared to him, because he's basically like if this is even possible. I mean, the first part definitely is like he's older, but he's on a worse offense than Pittsburgh. Like if like it's like, man, like you can't really say that about too many guys, but
no,
he's out there, and like he gets targeted, so you could do worse. But yeah, I'd say flex at best.
Yeah, indeed. So yep. The next game should be pretty easy, I think, is the Lions-Vikings game. Lions are favored by 3, over-under 47.5. Lions, Goff's a low-end QB1 with, obviously, you saw the upside of 5 touchdowns. Still starting Montgomery and definitely Gibbs over Montgomery at this point. But Monty, nothing changed with Montgomery last week. He just Goff threw 5 touchdowns. They didn't run the ball in the end, at the red zone, really. So, like, Montgomery could easily have 2 touchdowns. Exactly what he did last week, 17 carries, and what do you have, 70, 80 yards, couple catches, and he gets 2 touchdowns, and you're ecstatic. So,
yeah. I mean, just look at it this way, like, the last 3 weeks, that's Montgomery's floor is – 10 plus half PPR points for a guy who's not like heavily involved in the passing game, but he gets a little bit, and we know he can catch. We saw it in Chicago a lot, but it's just kind of like, I think you're starting him at very safe floor, and we see we know what the ceiling is. The ceiling is, 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you have to start him.
Yep. Tough matchup. Both these run defenses are pretty good, but still starting them. Laporta, it's like Kelsey and maybe McBride over Laporta each week, and that's basically it.
If you have McBride part, if you have 2 of those guys, flex one of them. Flex sure. Laporta and start Kelsey or whatever. Play McBride and Laporta, so it doesn't matter who's in front of them. Like you're playing both of them.
I mean, again, deep league, but I might be playing McBride and Likely this week, So definitely, obviously, McBride. And then St. Brown is always a start. Dude's a stud. And then the Viking side, like we talked about Nick Mullins, I kind of have him near the top of that group we keep bringing up, the Jordan Love, Flacco, Browning, Minshew. I kind of have him near the top of that because really good matchup. Detroit, I think I mentioned it before on this, but they've given up, I think, like 7 games of like 20 or more points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, one of those is 19.6. So 9 of 19.5 or more of the 14 games they played. So I think it's a really good matchup, and I'm fine with Mullins at the top of that group. Have you come around to Nick Mullins over the course of last hour or so?
Yes, definitely. I have. I totally it's funny because we've talked about him quite a bit because he's one of those players that's in that kind of fringe zone as far as where you're starting him. And I think I am totally on board. Nick Mullins is going to win you championships.
Yeah, potentially. Jefferson, you're always starting. Addison, he's in that low end wide receiver 2, and we see the upside. Be careful. Yeah. You're chasing 2 touchdowns, and if you take away those 2 touchdowns, it's a good game, not great, but he's still got it. He still has that potential. And then Hawkinson, revenge game, starting him. Hawkinson or Laporta, who are you starting?
Both. I'm flexing one of them. Like,
seriously. Yeah, and then Ty Chandler, I'm starting because I don't think I'm starting him either way. Madison's there, who hasn't practiced all week. Starting him. Obviously, Madison's not there. Starting tough matchup, but I still think he can give you a solid floor of like 8 half PPR points, and then he has the upside of more. So,
yeah, I don't think I'm quite there with you, but I get it. Like I mean, just look at 2 games ago, Chandler and Madison. That's when Madison got hurt, and it was Madison's backfield then. So, but I agree that Chandler showed a lot last week, and they've tried to get him involved a few times. Like, it's not like he's been nothing all year. I mean, fantasy wise, like he's been nothing, but they had a few weeks there where they obviously want to see what they got in him, kind of a thing. Like they're trying to make it a 1-2 punch kind of thing. So I don't hate it, but I don't want to start Chandler if Madison's there, but I'd say
I don't think Madison does anything if he comes back this week. I really don't. Like, I could be wrong, but the coach is Kevin O'Connell's just talking about how much he loves Chandler basically like all week, and he's going to have a big role essentially. I don't even think Madison plays, to be honest. So,
do we know if the coach is a liar though? Because most coaches are. Do we know if Kevin O'Connell has a good track record of actually telling the truth? Because not many of them do. It's like, oh yeah, no, we love this guy. It's like, yeah, you have to say that almost.
But it's also like, what has Madison done to even warrant keeping his job? Like, he's had multiple games of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games of 15 or more carries this year, and the first time a Vikings running back went over 100 yards was last week with Chandler,
yeah, I don't know. Like, sometimes I'm just kind of like, I mean, we just got done talking about the Falcons a little while ago. It's like trying to figure out that stuff sometimes. It's like, what did Bijan do to lose his job, kind of a thing, Like, I don't know. Like, that's fair enough. Like, Madison hasn't been lights out or anything like that, but yeah, I don't know. You can start Chandler as a flex. I don't want to though.
Yeah, you're talking about if Madison's
back. Yeah. I'm saying I would start him as a flex. I'm just saying I wouldn't want to. And I know you're, like you said, you're starting him as a RB2 even if Madison's there, which, well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, RB2 in that he's ranked in the top 24, but
right.
Very easily you could have 3 guys in the top 15, especially this year more than any other year. So, Zeke or Kyron or Zach Moss. Well, Zach Moss not this week, but the guys, a lot of guys, Chuba Hubbard, a lot of guys, waiver wire guys. Jags, but we're starting Hawkinson. I think we said that. That's obvious. Jags Bucs is the next game. It sounds like Trevor Lawrence is somehow going to make it back. Didn't we get a sleeper update yesterday saying he's likely not going to play? And now he's I don't know. The guy he's like Derek Carr. You just can't kill him. He just keeps coming back. It's amazing. I don't want to start
now. Bum knee, bum ankle, concussion, whatever. This guy is going to play. I don't know. I remember I got a trade offer in Dynasty before the playoffs started that involved Trevor Lawrence. And I told the guy, this is right after, he rolled his ankle, or the dude fell on his ankle, his own teammate. And it was no, you know what? I don't know if he plays this week, but he'll play next week and I should be all right. I can probably get through this week without him. Mm-hmm. And he was I don't know about that. Did you see how pissed he was when he threw his helmet and everything? It's yeah. And then he ended up playing. So it's and he was good too. Just weird, man. I think, yeah, I get. Well, actually, I don't get it. I'm starting Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I would put him up in that. I don't know. I guess as far as high as Kyler, I started thinking about it with Kyler versus Lawrence, which is a real thing because you maybe
Yeah.
have them both.
Yeah, for sure. I'm starting
Lawrence.
Baker over him on the other side of the ball,
Okay.
just because the Jacksonville matchup's juicy. But
So
yeah,
is
I
Tampa Bay.
think those guys are back to back. What's that?
Yeah. So is Tampa Bay. It's a pretty good matchup as well. 6
Right.
most
Yeah.
points
Yeah.
to-
That's what I'm saying. Like they're
quarterbacks.
both juicy matchups. Like, but I think Baker over Lawrence just because Tampa Bay is like playing. I don't know about necessarily better, but they're healthier, kind of. Like he's got all of his weapons. Like
Yeah. And Lawrence, 4 straight really good games, 20 or more, including 2 over 25, 1 over 32, or 32-point game. And then last week, if Ridley just catches that end zone touchdown, he has a 20-point game again in 6 point. So
he did have 20. Sorry. I always look at I use our league, which I know it's not standard scoring necessarily. I was gonna say he did have 20 points last week without the Ridley touchdown, but that might be a little inflated.
He had 20 in our league?
He had 21. He had 20.8.
How much did he rush? That's weird.
Because
he had
41 rushing yards.
Yeah, he had 14.7 in 4 points. So usually there's not that huge of a discrepancy, like 6 points or 7 points or something.
Yeah, I'm seeing he threw for 264 and a touchdown, and he ran for 41 yards. It's probably. Yeah. Wait. Oh yeah, one fumble.
One fumble.
Yeah, I don't know.
The first down, we do first down, so he probably got like 3 or 4 first downs or something
on those rushes.
Yeah. So interesting. But yeah, he's been good. So I don't mind starting him over all the way up to like Kyler and stuff. Ridley, if Lawrence plays, I think this is my prediction. Ridley's best game of the year is this week, which is actually saying something because he's had. Yeah, I'll say. Let's see. Let me see where he's. His best game this year was
Tennessee.
Tennessee. I see 24.1 week 11. Is that Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I say he's either surpasses that or his second best game of the year this year. If Lawrence is there, so I'm starting Ridley for that upside. Tampa Bay's secondary is not good. Any interest in like Parker Washington, or you can give your thoughts on Ridley as well.
I think you covered it pretty well. Yeah, I guess we could ask: is Zay Jones going to play?
I thought he was ruled out.
Yeah, it says he's questionable. It's a hamstring thing, but I don't know. Yeah, no, you're starting Ridley. If Zay Jones is out, I like Parker Washington as a flex, like low end. I won't quite go as low end number 3 receiver because there's no buys, but I'll say a flex for Washington.
Yeah. And then ETN, despite maybe another tough matchup, although Bucs have been not as good lately, still starting ETN. I can't get away from him.
Yeah.
And Evan Ingram, you're starting. And then the Bucs side of things, Baker, low end QB1. You want to put him right there with like the Kyler, Trevor Lawrence, make your decision. That's fine. It's a good matchup. Mike Evans, you're starting. Chris Godwin is one of those players that kind of like pisses me off. It's like he did nothing all year. And if I have him, I don't have him on any of my teams. But if you are out of the playoffs and you're watching last week and you're like, what the hell? Chris Godwin, 150 yards. What do we think of Chris Godwin, who has had double-digit targets in each of the last 2 weeks? Only one of them's really turned into something. Wide receiver 3, like a high-end 3?
Yeah. Godwin pisses me off too because obviously I should have started him last week and I would have totally won my matchup. I could have started him basically over almost all of my receivers, maybe all of them. I don't know. But it was just like, man, like, yeah, he was better than AJ Brown and Jamar Chase and stuff. Like, why wouldn't I know that? So it's frustrating, but I mean, Jacksonville's secondary, not so good. I mean, what we've been saying, like, well, he plays. which he definitely does. Targets are earned, blah blah blah. Like, I think, wide receiver 3, basically. Like, I don't know. I think I actually have him in a couple of leagues where I'm not starting him, but that's just, that's roster construction.
Yeah. Yeah, the targets have been there the last 2 weeks. It wasn't necessarily a fluke. He reminds me of Mike Evans last year. Mike Evans last year finished as the wide receiver 16, had 100 and almost 87 points in half PPR. 23% of that came in week 17, when most people who had Mike Evans did not did not make it that far. So, or even start him. So, wide receiver 3 to me.
That's almost like a perfect analogy too, because like in our league, he's Godwin scored 132, and 25 of that came last week. So there you go, 20% of his points basically last week.
Yeah, insane. So,
but
wide receiver 3.
One good thing that you can say about him is the floor is there. The floor is not high. The floor is basically. Oh wait, sorry. Well, no, we do play half. Yeah, the floor's actually probably not there, because I always forget about first downs and stuff. Like, our scoring's a little funky. I was going to say he's got like a 7 or 8 point floor, but that's probably not true in most leagues.
Yeah, it's about a 7 point, I'd say. I mean, he had a couple under that since the bye week in week 5, but even all year, he's had like maybe 4 games under 7, and they're all like 6.8 or something, or 6.5. So, okay floor.
Wide receiver White 33. That's really weird. Does not feel like it.
No, it doesn't.
All right, we can stop talking about Godwin.
Rachaad White's gonna destroy. I guess I think I heard Jacksonville is like terrible against pass catching running back. So Rachaad White's the dude's been awesome. If you have him in Dynasty, I would sell him in a heartbeat. If someone's going to give me a first round, not for anything, 2 seconds, a first round pick, I'm selling them just because we've seen running backs and how volatile they are. But that's a different topic. He's a must start. Any interest in Cade Otton?
Not really. I know he's available on the waiver wire. I'm just going to keep going back to like our league specifically. Like, I know he's available on our waiver because someone dropped him to pick up a defense, and it's like, I'm gonna start Freiermuth. I mean, dude, like, his snap shares are ridiculous. Like, nothing under 90% the entire year. So he's out there all the time, and we have seen some decent, like, kind of floor weeks. Not a lot of like touchdown upside, although he has 4 on the season. So, I mean, you could do worse, but I'm not really that interested.
Yeah, he's been less involved the last 3 weeks, although Jacksonville is a really good matchup. 5th most points to the tight ends. But yeah, he's in that. He's below the Freiermuth line, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Same below. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll move on. I think there's nothing else on that game, and we'll get into the last game, the Cardinals Bears, and I think this is going to be pretty easy. Kyler is a low end. Over unders 43. Bears are favored by 4. By the way, the Bucs were favored. I was a little surprised. I guess that's the Trevor Lawrence stuff in that game. But anyways, Cardinals Bears over under 43. Bears are favored by 4. I think Cardinals win this game. I know we picked exactly the same in our pool. I don't know if you saw that message, but all the games we picked the same.
Did we pick the same tiebreaker too?
No, I think you had like 52 and I had like 46. So pretty 6-point difference, pretty decent. But Kyler, low end QB1, he's been good. Like even last week, I think he had like 15 points in 4 point per passing touchdown, but he had like 2 ugly interceptions. So like if he doesn't have those, he still has a good game. Like he's rushing, giving you a solid floor. So I think he's just a solid QB1. Marquise Brown's out. Is there any pass catcher besides Trey McBride you want to start for the Cardinals?
No.
Okay. I think that's fair. And James Conner, where are we at with him? Because Chicago's actually been really good against the run. James Conner's still not really involved in the passing game, but he's had 2 really good games. One of them against the 49ers. Where's he at for you? Like a RB2 type of play?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, he had a good game last week against San Francisco, and then the week before against Pitt, which aren't like, they're not easy matchups by any stretch. So as far as like against running back, so I think you're rolling him out there. Yeah, the passing game work it's not great, but it's not nothing either. So I think we've seen how the Cardinals like to use him. Like, he only played half the snaps last week, but I don't think that was probably a little bit more game script than anything. So I'm not worried about Connor. I'm starting him as a running back too.
Yeah, and again, he's like more in that like 20-ish range, 20 to 24 range. So obviously, if you have a bunch of guys in the top 15, you're starting them. But yeah, should be a better game script. Should be able to keep this game close or potentially win. So yeah, I agree. And McBride's right there. Like, it's Kelsey and then Laporta, McBride. You can kind of put those guys. Kelsey's obviously deserves the first spot, but top 3 guy. So I always like Justin Fields just for the upside. This is a really good matchup for him with the Cardinals. So to me, he's a top. He's a top 5 guy. We don't really need to spend time there. DJ Moore, for that reason, is really good. Cole Kmet is the top 12 tight end pretty easily. Low end tight end 1. And then the running backs I just want to avoid. Like, I don't know. Like, Roshan, I think, had the most work last week. It just changes every week. Like, maybe it's Deontay. Yeah. Deontay Foreman might be a desperation flex play because the Cardinals are terrible against the run. And they could be in a game where they can run the ball a lot. So Deontay's the one I'm starting out of all 3, if I am starting one of them.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll flex Freiermuth over all those guys. Like, I don't want anything to do with it. But yeah, if I had to pick one, it's like, I guess it's Deontay. I don't know. Like, no, you know what? I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna flex, or I'll change to Roshan just to be different. There's no advice here. Like, don't listen to anything we just said. Like, don't start any of those guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It could be Khalil Herbert's the best this week. Who knows? That's it though. It's DJ Moore, Fields, Kmet. They're a really easy team. So, anything else there?
No, I'm just really sad that. This is just like fantasy advice in general. Always pay attention to who gets dropped when waivers run, which is like, it seems kind of basic, but even the best of us miss it every now and then. And it's like, Kmet got dropped like 2 weeks ago in the league where I'm starting Freiermuth, and it's like, I totally missed it. Someone got him off waivers for nothing, and it's just like, man, I really could use some Cole Kmet in my life right now.
Yeah.
Like,
seriously. I had that last year. We were in Australia in our Dynasty League, and Jordan Love was sitting. I think it was even before we were in Australia, but we went. But he got picked up while we were in Australia. I was like, Jordan Love was on the waivers? Like, what? Yeah, for like 2 months? It was like, what the hell?
He was just sitting there.
In a super flex league. So, always double check. I feel like it's easy for me. I don't know why, but sleeper, it's easy for me to gloss over who gets dropped. Like, I just look at who's getting, and it wasn't like that in the past with other. I don't know. It's just weird. Like, I feel like I gloss over it a lot easier with sleeper. In terms of who gets dropped. I have to remind myself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a product of, we're playing in more leagues now than we ever have. Like, I do like in Yahoo, you can actually, like, if you go to transactions, I don't really care for like the Yahoo platform in general, but one nice thing that they do is you can go to transactions and you can just look at dropped players. Like, that's it. Like, you don't see who got picked up, or like who they got dropped for, any of that. Like, it's just, here's all the drops. That's nice.
Yeah. No, that is nice for sure. But Quentin Johnson, I dropped him if you want him, just so you know. We'll
I'll stick
finish
with
up
my
there
I'll stick with my Josh Palmer. Thank you.
and Fryermuth. I'd start Fryermuth over Quentin Johnston.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be back with the last 5 matchups, 3 Christmas Day Monday games, which will be fun. As always, like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.